Touch forward for Osgood. And he's got it through, and he has! Yes, Peter Osgood! As Marsh and Best congratulate each other. And now for Brooking, he must die! What a monumental save made by Peter Shilton. Eddie Gray. Oh, good footwork by Gray, still going. Oh, what a lovely goal! It might come for Lineker. And that ace goal pusher pounces again.
In the next half hour, I'll be meeting three of my footballing heroes as we take another look at soccer in the 70s.
The man who's performed heroics this afternoon has the most thankless task any goalkeeper in football can have. To try to save a penalty by dead shot, Peter Lorrimer. Peter Lorrimer, the man that could kill Wimbledon after a brave fight. Here he goes. He saved it.
Rivellino, what's Pele now? What a beautiful goal from Pele! El Rey Pele! 100 goals for Brazil!
My guests this week are Alan Mullery, Gerry Francis and Frank Worthington. Alan, I'll start with you. The 74-75 season must have been a special one for you. You finished Footballer of the Year and also a cup final appearance.
Also, I got the MBE, Gary, that year as well,
Did you?
which was fantastic. So it was a wonderful year. And there was only one more season after that, and I finished playing. I went into management after that, but it was a great year. I mean, how we ever got to the cup final, I just don't honestly know. I think we played about 12 games to get there. Nottingham Forest we played 4 times, you know, home and away and on neutral grounds.
And there was a special goal that you had a hand in by, you remember?
John Mitchell.
That's the one.
Yeah, John. Well, it was a lovely goal, you know, come the semi-final. And John Mitchell had this wonderful knack of scoring exceptional goals. He wasn't the best player in the world. He didn't have your control or the other lads on this settee's control, but he had a wonderful knack of scoring goals. And it didn't matter how he got them in, but a spectacular goal he scored quite often.
Played back again for Bobby Moore. Mullery. Curled in nicely there for Mitchell. Oh, and what a screaming goal! Mitchell! 1-0 to Fulham.
And what do you remember about the final?
Completely outplayed by West Ham. I mean, we've been very, very lucky to get there. I can remember the quarter of the final going to Carlisle, and I think we got out of our penalty box once, and Les Barrett scored a goal. The other 89 minutes we were bombarded by Carlisle and should never have won, and we did. And then we got to a final, and we played West Ham in another cup competition that season, actually. We'd beaten 2-1, so we're reasonably confident. But on the day, I mean, they were far better side than what we were.
But still 0-0, and maybe it'll be West Ham who do the taking as Holland takes it up now, down the left for them. Billy Jennings screaming for the ball, hitting it first time, Miller gets it, Taylor turns it back, yes! Alan Taylor! Oh, what a good ball by Holland there for Patton, and hit well by Patton, number 2! And he's done it again! Alan Taylor!
Going on to England, it was a transitional time with England. We had the Ramsey change with Joe Mercer and, of course, Don Revie taking over. How do you think that affected the England side around there? Can I put it to you, Gerry?
Well, they had a few quick changes, Gary, didn't they? I mean, I played for the under-23s under Alf, and I mean, to be honest, Alan and Alf Ramsey were my heroes a little bit earlier on in '66, and to actually play for Alf was a tremendous feeling, to actually see him and work with him. Then Joe took over for a little while, and then Don came, and Don had his own professionalism in the game, which he'd done at Leeds, and how he'd been so successful at Leeds, and he tried to bring that into an England setup. I think really it probably was a bit difficult for him to do that when you only saw the players at very sparse sort of situations. But it changed a lot of things. It brought the money side of the game from, not that you need that playing for England, but he changed the money side of the game for players. which a lot of people have benefited from over the years, from that side. And he did bring a lot of things into it, I feel, which that we benefited from in the future.
Frank, this is the period of time when you got most of your caps. I think Joe Mercer was the man that really gave you your chance.
Well, that's right. So Alf picked the squad, and then unfortunately got the sack, and Joe took over for the 1974 for the home internationals and Eastern European tour, and it was two extremes of personalities, I think, because Sir Alfie was very organised, and he made sure everyone knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing, whereas Joe had the opposite sort of outlook in as much as all he'd say to us was go out and enjoy yourselves and show the world what great players you are, and we played a lot of delightful football under Joe. When Reevy took over, we played his first game against Czechoslovakia. The second game, towards the build-up against Portugal, he took Alan Hudson, Tony Curry and myself to one side, and he said that we were three brilliantly gifted players, but for some reason we didn't work hard enough, and we just couldn't believe those words that he'd said to us. And my time was short-lived from that point onwards.
There were a few high spots that season with England, and I'm sure you'll remember, Jerry, the game against the Scots that year when you scored a couple of goals.
Yeah, I think that the first thing about that day that I can remember was the atmosphere, and it seemed to me that there was 70,000 Scotsmen in the ground.
There was.
Probably was.
That's the way it always is, isn't it?
Yeah, and he was coming out, and all you could see was yellow flags. And the atmosphere when he walked out, particularly on that occasion, and for that game, I don't think you'll ever forget the actual atmosphere, because I think you know yourself probably, you tend to forget a lot of things that happen in big events until after, well, I did anyway. They just seem to, you look back on video after them, but at the time you forgot about them because you were too concerned with the game, etc., etc.
Francis again. Oh, he's shaken off Jardine there. And that's a good shot. Oh, it's there! Jerry Francis! Oh, Jerry Francis, a beautiful goal! Back again to Francis. It'll give England a lot of confidence, that goal. And it's showing there as Keegan takes it up. And Beattie is the only man up with him. Of all people, the fullback. The chip comes in towards Beattie. And it's there again! 2-0! 2 goals in the first 6 minutes. Francis. Shannon. Francis again. Several good passes now by England. Colin Bell. Still with Colin Bell. Oh, number 3 by Bell. Jerry Francis having a word with Ray Clements. Maybe telling him which side Bruce Rioch will take the penalty, or rather which side he will hit it. Rioch versus Clements. And it's there for Scotland. Watson away up here on the right in case they should try a long one. Well, they did try it again, and it came off, and it's a goal by Francis. On Hutchison and McGrain, just Hutchison and McGrain in that wall, played towards the near post. Oh, hit onto the crossbar, and then Watson didn't get it in, and Johnson did. David Johnson, 5-1 to England.
The first goal was a very early goal. I think I'd played a little 1-2 with Mick Shannon. And it came back to me, and I remember turning quickly, and the defender slipped, and I took the ball on a stride, and Gordon McQueen came out towards me, and I felt, well, I'll have a go, and I hit it, and it just really went sweetly, and it swerved a little bit, and went straight in the side netting. So that was a tremendous start, obviously for me and the team personally, and it really set the seed for the game, really, because we played very, very well that day. The second one was, we were 3-1 up at the stage, which was a free kick which we worked on. I think Alan Ball was back in it through Colin Bell's legs, and I curled it into the far corner. It took a slight deflection off of Frank Munro's chest and just took it further, just hit the post and went in. So probably a bit fortunate there as well, but that was a day obviously that probably always remember.
Because the worst part about those games was you being a seasoned international, I'm sure Jerry the same and Frank the same, the kids at your football club, if you had a Scottish kid at your football club, he used to slag you off something rotten, when you were playing Scotland. And yet when you went back, if you won or lost, whatever, you used to get some almighty stick from the 15-year-olds at the club. And the rivalry between the senior players, I mean, many a time I played against like Dave Mackay, who was my captain at Tottenham, and Alan Gilzine and people like this. So Greavesy and I were playing against like Dave Mackay and Alan Gilzine. And Gilly was sub once when we played up in Scotland, and I'd been playing for about an hour. Gilly came on, and he kicked me to death for 5 minutes. I couldn't believe it. He wouldn't kick a fly. And he kicked me to death. You know, this thing about Scotland and England was unbelievable. They're great games to play in.
And the captaincy, Jerry, of England, did you find the extra responsibility affected you?
Yeah, I think that outside of the England manager, I would say, particularly now as media attention, I think it was just starting to get really heavy in the end of the 60s into the 70s. And I think, other than the England manager's job, I would say that's the biggest pressure issue that's being captain. It depends how it's going. If things are going well, it's not so bad, and if things are not going so well, you're going for not a very good sort of patch aside, the international side, it can be a major burden. And you know, we had some good times, and we had some not so good times at the time, and it is a lot of pressure, Gary. Yeah.
Mancini across the box. Well out. The shot is on for Francis, and he scores it.
Control by Francis. Marsh is there, but Francis is in! It's a good goal by Francis on his own.
Alan, we were talking of captaincy and how it affected Jerry. You played at Fulham, of course, with the great Bobby Moore. Was he the great leader?
He was an unusual player, Gary. If I was a manager, and we've all been managers on this settee, and some still are, and I looked at Bobby Moore, if somebody went to assess him and they said what Bobby Moore had and what he didn't have, I mean, he couldn't head the ball. He was slow, he was very one pace, but his attributes, he was a great passer of the ball. He had a wonderful brain on thinking half a second before anybody else. He got into situations where he would cut situations out, you know, when they were developing. And he had this wonderful ability, not verbally, but to play to such a level that everybody followed. I mean, probably one good example that year that Bob came to Fulham. We got beat 4-0 the first day he arrived against Middlesbrough, and he looked at me and he said, "What have I done?" He said, "This is ridiculous, we've got no chance." And we got to the cup final that season. But he made John Lacey, who was a centre-half in those days, that got transferred to your club now, and my old club. And Tottenham paid £250,000 for John Lacey. John Lacey couldn't play. He could not play. He was an awful footballer, and that's been very detrimental for the boy now. But it was absolutely right. I've said it to his face many times, actually. But Bobby Moore made him into a good player, playing alongside Bobby Moore. Because Bobby Moore, he used to get the ball, he'd win the ball and give it to Bobby Moore. And it was so simple, because Bob was around him. I mean, brilliant player to play with, wonderful. Never led verbally, but always on his ability to play.
By example.
Yeah.
74-75 was also the year Brian Clough got the sack at Leeds. The outspoken manager failed to win over Don Revie's old team. The two managers met up in a Yorkshire TV studio and the fireworks began.
Well, I think that, truthfully, Brian is a fool to himself. I must be very, very honest here. I honestly feel that he's criticised Matt Busby, Bertie me personally, Norman Hunter, Peter Lorimer, Billy Bremner, Peter Storey. He's criticised so many people in the game whose records stand to be seen. He's criticised so many people. This is his style. If he wants to be that style, fair enough. But I think that is totally, totally wrong for the game of professional football. He says about honesty and things like this. But when you talk about honesty, if honesty is going to destroy the game, then you're in all kinds of trouble. I think you're doing the game a great disservice.
Yes, I would.
In other words, the accusation is that you're trying to shoot your mouth off about.
So now when you talk about...
I would agree completely.
Let me answer his question first.
Yes,
Let me answer his question first. He talked about winning the championships better or differently. Our record is there to be seen for 11 years.
Yes.
Right? The first 4 or 5 years, I've always said this, we played for results. The last 4 or 5 years, we've been the most entertaining side by crowd entertainment and topping charts with national newspapers and television.
Also, Don, the disciplinary chart.
The disciplinary chart...
You topped that.
We topped that once.
Well, you topped it for the last 2 or 3 years.
No, that's not true. It wasn't 100% right, I will agree.
Sorry?
It wasn't 100% right, discipline on the field, and last year we straightened it out.
Well, it was. You were the top.
Yeah. But when you see, Brian, when you talk about coming to take the Leeds job and you had all these things and all these worries about stepping in my shoes and one thing and another.
Which I had.
Yes, you had. But why? Why did you come from Brighton to Leeds to take it over when you'd criticised them so much and said we should be in the second division for this and we should do this and we should do that? Why do you take the job?
No, because I thought it was the best job in the country.
Of course it was the best job in the country.
I was taking over the league champions.
Yeah, you were taking over the league champion. You were taking over the best bunch of players that you've ever seen.
Well,
I
didn't know about the players, Don.
You didn't know?
I didn't know them intimately like you do. But I know you were the league champions, and I was taking over the league champions. I wanted to have a crack at the European Cup this year.
Yes.
I think that was near and dear to your heart also.
Yeah. Yes.
I wanted to win it. I wanted to do something you hadn't done. Now, when I think I said it to Trevor Cherry, actually, or mostly the players, he said to me, what can you do that the boss hadn't done? You, the boss, referring to you. And I said, I want to win the league, but I want to win it better. Now, there is no other reply to that question.
No,
because you had won the league.
Yeah, but there's no way you could win it better.
Why not?
No.
But that's the only hope I've got.
We'd only lost 4 matches. And
but I can only lose 3.
No.
I couldn't give any other answer. And I wanted to win the European Cup. I believe that it was just a fraction, Don. A fraction. I don't know this because I've not spoken to you. But I believe it's a fraction whether you took the England job or had another shot at the European Cup.
That is totally true because I was so involved with the players and everybody at Elland.
Good lad. Now, I wanted to do that, and I want to do it better than you. You can understand that, can't you?
Yes. And I think if you'd said that to our players, then you would have got the message across.
I couldn't say that to our players, as you say. I couldn't say that to our players just as a bold statement. You see, when I went in there was friction. There was unhappiness.
Friction? What do you mean, friction?
There was unhappiness because you'd gone and unsigned contracts.
No. But when you walked in, tell me this, when you walked in, did you have a meeting the first day with them?
No.
Why?
Because I didn't think it was necessary to have a meeting the very first day.
So you were taking over as manager of a new club?
Yes.
And you don't call all your players and your coaching staff and your office staff together?
No.
And introduce yourself and meet them and tell them exactly what you feel and what you want to try and do?
Don, the first day I walked in, I came back from holiday and I did 2 hours training with them.
Why didn't you get everybody together?
Because I didn't think it was necessary.
Why?
How? Because I thought that I would do it more subtly and different instead of having everybody bang, bang, bang. They were all on edge. I was on edge.
So you could have put them at ease?
No, hang on. How?
Are you going in and talking to them?
Oh, talk to them? I took the shirts off their backs after they'd finished training.
I used to do that and massage them on a Thursday
Of course.
morning.
Well, that was my approach, of course.
But you didn't meet everybody the first day.
I shook hands and said hello. Met them.
Everybody? Did you go to the laundry ladies? Did you go to the office staff?
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Did you go to the groundsman?
No, I didn't have time to do that, Don. It was players.
You must have had...
I have to interrupt here because we're getting towards the end. I want to ask, what's your reaction to a board that doesn't back you up, that sacks you after 7 weeks?
I haven't had time to know them either. Just as I believe I haven't had time to do the job.
No easy task for John Walk at the back there. He's mostly marking Bob Lee. But on this occasion, he's going to pick up the England player Worthington. He's got Worthington there. And Blockley's come up too with Wymart marking him. In goes Walk. Oh, that's there. And that's a fine goal from Worthington.
Frank, quite a good year for yourself that year. Top scorer again with Leicester. That Leicester side, we talk a bit about that. It was the side I supported, as you know. It was always an attractive side to watch, but never quite achieved any great success.
Yeah, I think the reason for that, Gary, was the fact that we never had it quite right defensively, but attack-wise and creatively, we were absolutely... it was a great side to play in because, Jimmy Bloomfield, who was the manager, he believed in open, attractive football, and we had 2 great wide players in Lenny Glover, the flying winger, and Keith Weller on the other side, and we had a good midfield situation with John Samuels, Alan Birch and all, and with myself up front. When we knocked the ball from side to side and we created a lot of chances, scored a lot of goals. But the reason why we didn't win anything, I think, was simply because we probably gave too many bad goals away. But it was a great side to play in, and you know, we played some terrific football.
Peters coming in first, and he's all right, he's onside, isn't he? Is this the breakthrough for Leicester? Turned inside, oh, and Worthington missed a chance, and yes, it's there by Stringfellow! Woodworth has had a very good game in defence for Leicester. There's Birchinall's long kick again towards Stringfellow, who's popped up in some unexpected places. Lee. Curled in again now for Worthington. Number 2, Frank Worthington. And here's Worthington in so much space. Whack it goes to the far side. What a ball. Straight to Keith Weller. And Worthington wanting it back again. Weller taking on his man and going round him. There's the chip inside now. And Lee hits it in. And Summers makes it 3. What a beautiful goal for Leicester.
That Leicester side, Frank, you talked about the 2 wingers. Can you tell us a bit about Keith Weller and Lenny Glover?
Lenny was probably the best player that I've ever played with from my own personal point of view. We had an almost telepathic understanding between us. You know, he'd know when the ball came to me from the defence, I'd control the ball, and if the fullback just sat off him, I'd just knock the ball into his feet, and he'd take the fullback on, invariably get to the byline and knock the ball in for me to get on the end of. Alternatively, if the fullback was tight with him, he'd just make a run inside the fullback, and I'd just clip the ball inside the fullback for him. And that particular season, I think he scored about 13 or 14 goals from that one movement, and it's a brilliant relationship for me. And on the other side, of course, Keith Weller.
Wellington chasing it in. Rimmer was there and rushed into the net by Weller, and the goal is given. Keith Weller gets it, and that's what Leicester feel about it. Tally-ho, and Weller was the fellow man sounding the hunting horn there. Wellington, good ball. Alderson breaking clear. Matthews, number 5, and his cross was too early in. Alderson again. Has a look in for Worthington. Looks for a shooting angle. Chip for Weller. Yes! 3-1. Keith Weller's second goal of the game. And Leicester fans enraptured by the punchy drive of football then.
Rumour has it you never really quite got on so well with Keith.
Well, Keith, I thought it was a brilliant... you know, he got a great talent, and he used to produce some great things on the pitch. But off the pitch, there were certain things that went on between us. You know, I felt he was on the treatment table for most of the week, and he'd usually make his Friday morning recovery. You know, that type of situation.
Frank, you're always remembered, and still people talk about that great goal that you scored for Bolton against Ipswich. Can you still remember it? You remember yourself?
Well, I get people coming up to me still in the street, and it's, you know, it's terrific, you know, that they still remember that goal.
Moore's header, Gowling under it. Worthington now from Gowling's header, and Worthington, and what a beautiful Worthington goal! Wasn't it a bit special? Juggle, 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 turn, and then strike. What a beauty.
It was a special one, I suppose, because you know, people liken it to Brazilian type goal, this type of situation. But you know, it was a little bit different, and it was one that I enjoyed. But the story of my life, it was a week too late for the goal of the season competition. So.
That's it for 74-75 season. We'll be back next week with more soccer in the 70s, including a look at the Rebel Entertainers.
The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. I said.